What's up, 4th and 5th graders? Time for Stuff with Nick.
Stuff with Nick, people.
On Stuff with Nick today, we're talking about when your friends make fun of you. Now, maybe you guys have never gotten made fun of, but I sure have. Let's rewind to 4th grade. So there's two things you need to know about 4th grade Nick. One, I loved sports. At this point in my life, I still thought there was a chance that I would be in the NBA. I almost made it. Two, I was one of the smallest kids in the class. I mean, small. So here's how the story goes. I played soccer, and I loved watching it on TV. And on TV, all the best players, they got hurt sometimes. So at practice one night, I had a collision with a teammate, and it hurt. It didn't hurt really to the point where I was hurt. It just kind of hurt at the moment. But I thought it would be extra cool if I told everyone else that I was actually hurt. So I finished practice, go home that night, put some ice on my leg, and it still hurt a little bit, but I wanted everyone else to think that it hurt a lot. So I found one of those bandages and borrowed some crutches from my neighbor and took them to school the next day. Probably not my best move. All day long, I got made fun of by my friends, by people that weren't really even my friends, and worst of all, by my own sister. I remember getting on the bus at the end of the day of school, being so thankful that I finally got to go home and get away from everyone. And then my sister gets on the bus and says this, "Nick, what are you doing? You're not even hurt." Ouch. Now, all those people that were saying I wasn't hurt kind of had a good point. I wasn't. But that doesn't change the fact that I was getting made fun of all day at school. And whether it's something like faking an injury or something a little bit more serious, I know that you guys have experienced being made fun of and probably making fun of others. And here's the thing about the Bible. There's not an index that we can turn to that says, when you're made fun of at school. I wish. But there are a lot of stories of people being honest with God about their emotions and the way they're feeling that we can learn from. In Psalm 13, David feels forgotten by God. He asks him, "Are you gonna forget me forever?" When you get made fun of, do you ever feel forgotten? Maybe even by God? In Psalm 22, David says everyone treats him like a worm. They look down on him, they laugh at him, they make fun of him. David is really upset about the way people are treating him. So David was really honest with God about how it felt to be made fun of or how it felt to be forgotten. And that's exactly what we can do. When we get made fun of, we can break into someone's house and put saran wrap over the toilet seat. Maybe not the best option. We can go up to them at school, ask if they're hungry, and then give them a knuckle sandwich. Also not the best option. Or we can be honest with how we feel about it. Sometimes you can be embarrassed to be sad or upset because someone made fun of you, but God already knows exactly how you're feeling. So one thing you could do is write it down. God is not scared of your emotions, even if you're mad at him. So even though there's not a tutorial on what to do when you're made fun of in the Bible, there's a lot of people that we know were mocked or ridiculed or made fun of all throughout the Bible. And we can look at how they responded to see what we should do. You can write it down. You can tell your parents. You can even tell your friend that made fun of you that it didn't feel very good. And something really important that we can all do is make sure that we're not making fun of other people. Sometimes it's tempting because you'll get the laugh from another group of friends, but we know that it doesn't feel good to be made fun of, so it's not cool to do it to other people. At the 45 loves the name of the game, and when we feel made fun of, it's hard to feel loved. And when we make fun of other people, it's not loving them at all. But we know that no matter what happens, nothing changes the love that Jesus has for you and for me. P.S. Make sure you guys send in your submissions to be on Stuff with Nick, and next week it might be you. See ya!